Hello and welcome. In Gran Turismo 7 we have the ability to engine swap vehicles. However, it is rather rare to receive an engine swap. And when I say rare, I mean you're more likely to find Bigfoot riding a unicorn than you are gonna receive an engine swap out of a roulette ticket. Yes, the system is broken. And even with the system being broken, I was fortunate enough to be able to engine swap 43 vehicles. Now currently in game at the time of recording this video, there are 55 different engine swap combinations. In no way am I making this video to show off. I am just proving a point to say, look, I haven't just received maybe 5 or 6 engine swaps and I'm making this video. I've gone through a thorough amount of engine swaps and these are my top 5 engine swaps of 2022. But before we carry on, I just want to ask you to please take the time to hit that subscribe button, as almost 94% of you watching my videos are not subscribed. So please take the time. It is really appreciated and it just helps the channel grow. Thank you so much. Let's carry on with the video. So the cars are in no particular order at all. So starting off with a relatively new engine swap to the game is the Alfa Romeo 4C. Now this car is engine swapped with the V8 out of the Ferrari 458. The 458 engine fully upgraded produces over 700 brake horsepower, and this is without the help of a turbocharger or a supercharger. And it's not because I didn't want to put one on, it's because you aren't allowed to add any forced induction to this car. But with the engine producing so much power and not having the aid of a turbocharger or any forced induction, the car is able to have instant power whenever you need it throughout the rev range. You don't have to wait for boost to kick in. When you put your foot down, the car is moving. In a car that has tons of power and weighs as much as a small dog, it is quite a handful. However, with the amount of downforce that this car produces, with zero traction control on, you are still able to take it around a corner at relatively high speed and come out the end in one piece. Now with this car, what I appreciate is that it is a modern car. Majority of the engine swaps, you are putting it into like 90s JDM vehicles, which from a car guy's point of view is kinda cool. However, they don't handle the power well. This is capable of keeping all 700 horsepower in bay, and that's what I need. That's what you need to get around a circuit as fast as possible. And it can also do this. Going back to when I said 90s cars can't handle the power, the Lancia is an exception. It basically makes me eat my words. The Lancia Delta Integrale is powered by the same engine from the Nissan R35 GTR Nismo. On its own, a crazy combination. But what I love and what brings my attention to this vehicle is the all-wheel drive system. Now, in previous videos I've mentioned that all-wheel drive systems are superior in Gran Turismo 7 because of how much tuning capabilities these cars actually possess. Now this Nissan R35 engine swap produces 935 brake horsepower, and with the car having all-wheel drive, you're able to change it from having it have a complete 50-50 power distribution to having all the power to the rear wheels, or just change it up. It's up to you, which means you can completely change how this car handles on the go. Now yes, I did have a bit of a hiccup there where I went into a barrier, but that's just, it's a part of the fun, right? Now that's the thing, with these cars you do need to be awake, you do need to pay attention to how you drive them, because at the end of the day these cars will turn around and fight you back. Yes, it is a bit of a tussle to keep these cars in line, but with the engine swap Lancia, the car is able to just put down so much power and give you such an adrenaline rush you can't find in most cars in Gran Turismo 7. Now I do say this because this car is also rapid, and if you get to know how the car handles, you can set some insane lap times, and for that reason it's on the top 5 list. But while we are on the topic of rapid, we gotta go on to our next engine swap. If you look up in the dictionary the definition of rapid, you will find a picture of this Mazda RX7. This Mazda RX7 is powered by a R26B, not an RB26, an R26B, and that is the engine out of the Mazda 787B. If you don't know that car, you need to go do some research. Now, in my personal opinion, if I had to get one engine swap in this game and keep it forever, this is that swap. This car produces almost 1,000 brake horsepower. The car weighs almost 1,000 kgs. The car is able to take turns as if it was on rails. It has a top speed of over 420 kilometers per hour. Anything and everything you throw at this vehicle, it is incredible at. Whether you want to track day it, you want to drift it, you want to drag race it, you want to do top speed runs, whatever you need this vehicle to do, it will give you 110% every single time. Now look, this car is rather powerful and it is a bit tricky to drive, but honestly, if you're behind the wheel for maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes max, you will understand how the car handles and you will be incredibly fast wherever you put this car. Now, it's one thing being fast, this car is also economical. Now, this car is the only one on this list I'm going to mention the economy, because this car, with it being an engine from a Group 1 vehicle, this car is extremely light on juice. The petrol that this car uses is very minimum. So when it comes to endurance events, for example the Le Mans events that's 30 minutes long, this car is perfect. I was actually able to complete that event without a single pit stop, driving for half an hour straight on fuel map 6 and still being able to almost lap every opponent says a lot. This car, in my opinion, is OP. As I said earlier, if we had to get one engine swap and keep it and only have that one forever, this is that engine swap. This is the Nissan Fairlady Z34, better known to the rest of the world as the Nissan 370Z. Now this car is powered by a V8 out of the Nissan GTR GT500. So yes, this is a fully blown out racing V8 in the Nissan 370Z. Now this car, the key feature that blew me away was the amount of grip that this car had. The grip level that this car has is actually absurd, because with the amount of power that it produces, how it takes turns, it doesn't line up. This car physically shouldn't be able to do this, because no way is it 370Z a light vehicle. The engine itself is heavy, and just adding a few aero bits, the car can take corners almost flat out. It doesn't make any sense, but somehow it does it, and that's what puts this car on the list. It's kind of mind-boggling how this car is able to take corners at such a high speed. Now the car, if you wanted to, you can get it to drift. However, it is a bit tricky. The car handles its power relatively well, and as you see from the way this car takes apexes, it's bang on. Whatever direction you point it in, the car will go that direction. It is very responsive, and somehow even with no traction, the car doesn't really break traction. It doesn't make any sense. However, that's what it does, and for that reason, it's on the list. But while we're talking about things that are just mind-boggling and don't make any sense, the Suzuki Cappuccino. Yes, the Suzuki Cappuccino is on this list because it can be swapped with a big turbo 13B engine. Yes, this is a rotary powered Suzuki Cappuccino. That is basically like taking a flea and letting it sniff a line of special white powder. It's insane. This car is basically off its head. If you drive with no traction control, the car will try to unalive you. But it is so much fun. There's no other car. Okay, the Mazda Miata, the old one, that can also get the same engine swap. However, it doesn't give off the same experience. This car, with its short wheelbase, this car is tiny, and the way it handles power, is on a different level. The car just, I'm speechless trying to describe this vehicle. It is honestly insane, and I know I'm explaining it terribly, but this car is just out of this world. I'm actually struggling. If you want to see the full video where somehow I found the words to describe the Suzuki Cappuccino, I will link it in the description down below. So this is on the top 5 list because it is absolutely insane. Is it the fastest engine swap? No. Is it the easiest to drive? No. Will you have the time of your life? Yes. Every time you jump behind the wheel of this vehicle, you will not regret it. And for that, I am bringing straight joy factor on this list with the Suzuki Cappuccino. So this video is longer than I would have liked it to be, but this is my top 5 best engine swaps in Gran Turismo 7 for 2022. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what your favorite engine swaps are. With all this being said, thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.